Hello, first grade friends. Remember, I told you I'd be reading from the beach this week. I am going to be reading a chapter book for you. It is called Diva and Flea. And you're not going to believe who the author is. It's Mo Willems. He did a chapter book. It is published by Hyperion Books for Children. It's an imprint of Disney Book Group. So I have permission to read it to you. It seems like it's a fun book. So I'm going to start with the debut. And don't you love my beach scene that I have? Oh, I really wish I was there. Chapter 1, Diva and Flea. It's called Then. This is Diva's story. For as long as she could remember, Diva lived at 11 Avenue, La Plaie in Paris, France. 11 Avenue, La Plaie was a grand old apartment building with a small gated courtyard in the front. Many people lived in the building, kids, parents, old ladies, even an artist or two. Like most grand old apartment buildings in Paris, there was a guardian who lived on the ground floor. It was her job to make sure that everything inside and outside of the building was neat, tidy, and safe. Diva was the guardian's dog, which meant that Diva was practically responsible for the whole of 11 Avenue La Plaie, including the courtyard. It was a very big job for a very small dog. Diva took her job seriously. Every day she would exit the grand front door, trot across the small courtyard, and stand at the building's gate front. From there, she watched and guarded and watched. And if anything ever happened, no matter how big or small, Diva would yelp and run away. Diva was very good at her job. This is Flea's story. For as long as he could remember, Flea also lived in Paris, France, but at no fixed address. Flea lived wherever he was, which usually was somewhere other than it had been the day before. Flea did not even have a fixed name. Some people called him Puss or Midnight or Richard, but he didn't care much about what people called him. He liked the name Flea. He thought it was a funny name because he was a large cat and a flea is a small animal. Also, he may or may not have had fleas. Flea did have a fixed occupation, however. He was a flaneur. A flaneur is someone or some cat who wanders the streets and bridges and alleys of the city just to see what there is to see. A great flaneur has seen everything, but still looks for more because there is always more to discover. Flea was a really great flaneur. Chapter 2, called The Courtyard. Here's a picture. Kind of looks like one of our subway stations where people would come out. I want you to listen to how it's described. One afternoon, Flea was having a particularly good time flaneuring. The day was barely half over, and he had already discovered a stairwell that led deep under the streets of Paris. There, giant rooms on wheels would suddenly appear and release large groups of people. So thought Flea, that's where people come from. Later, Flea found himself sitting in the sun, watching people who were also sitting in the sun, watching even more people sitting in the sun. Everyone except for Flea was drinking tiny cups of something they called coffee. This is pretty much what people do in Paris, France. Then, inside at Flea's favorite store, he saw a woman drop a giant piece of salami smack onto the floor. Flea pounced and snatched the salami before the man with the broom could even chase him out, an event that was both unusual and delicious. And if that weren't enough, That very same day, Flea happened to wander past the courtyard at 11 Avenue, La Play, where he saw Diva for the first time. As soon as Flea saw the small dog, he was captivated. But as soon as Diva saw the large cat, she yelped and ran away. Flea laughed because it was kind of funny. He had seen many funny things in his life, but he had never seen such a small dog yelp with such a loud voice. After that, Flea would make sure that most afternoons he just happened to flaneur right by the courtyard at 11 Avenue La Play. It was fun watching that small dog yelp and run away, and this went on for many days. Flea would flaneur by, the small dog would yelp and run away. Flea would laugh. It was almost too good to be true. Then one day, Diva didn't yelp or run away. Instead, she looked right at Flea's big face and asked, "Are you trying to hurt my feelings?" Flea had never thought about it like that. And chapter 3, The Mouse. The next day, Diva trotted into the courtyard expecting to see the large cat and to hear his loud laugh. But the cat was not there. It was quiet. Diva was surprised at how empty the courtyard felt without the cat sticking his big head through the gate. Then she noticed the courtyard wasn't completely empty. There was a small dead mouse near the front step. Diva looked at the mouse and thought for a moment, and then she called out as loudly as she could, "Who left this mouse on my doorstep?" A small voice hiding in the bushes replied, "Me." It was Flea's voice. Diva was surprised a cat that big could have a voice that small. The cat came out from behind the bushes and walked to the edge of the gate. "I did not mean to hurt your feelings," he said, "so I brought you a mouse." "You brought me a mouse?" asked Diva. "To show you how sorry I am," he replied. Diva looked at the mouse and thought for a moment. Then she walked over to Flea and said, "This is the nicest thing anyone has ever done for me. But in the future, bring me a small piece of ribbon, okay?" Flea laughed, and this time, so did Diva. That's the first section of our book. I've read 3 chapters. It has about 13 chapters in it, so I'll see you tomorrow to read a few more. Thanks for listening.